this video, I'll be going over my latest update for my Essential Bundle Pack. My Essential Bundle has over 200 assets to help speed up your editing workflow, ranging from titles, presets, transitions, LUTs, and more. This is a free update to anyone who already has the bundle pack, and also a regular introduction of sorts to anyone who's never heard of the pack. If you haven't received the email for the newest update, you can go back to the website. If you create an account, you can just go back into your purchase history. If not, send me a message on Instagram or Discord, and I'll get you taken care of. For everyone else, there'll be a link in the description. I also leave a playlist for my editing packs in case you want to check those out as well. I'm actually going to go through the pack from beginning to end for anyone who's new to the channel. And of course, if you haven't updated in a while, this will be a refresher of sorts. So after you download the pack and extract it, you'll get these files. If you haven't updated in a while, you're going to want to reinstall all the fonts. So go to the all fonts folder. You'll see it's 408 fonts.
What?
Now I know this seems like a lot of fonts, but I use variable fonts. So one font may have 20 different versions. I went through and re-downloaded all the fonts because the titles were actually having little problems, and actually some of the titles got kind of kicked out with the newest version of Davinci Resolve when we switched over to Davinci Resolve 20. So I went through and updated all this stuff, and everything should be working. So to install the fonts, hit Control A to select all. You'll right click and select install. Now, if you get this little message that actually do you want to replace, go ahead and hit yes. That way you make sure you have the latest version. I'm actually going to hit do this for all and then hit yes. Now, if you had Davinci Resolve open, you're going to want to restart it in order for those fonts to update. Then we're going to go back here and install the DRFX. This here is where all the presets are, as far as the titles, the transitions, effects, and all that stuff. If I do release another update, this is the only file you actually have to install for the update. So just double click this, and it'll bring up Davinci Resolve. It's going to ask me to overwrite because I'm updating. The pack comes with over 60 LUTs. We're going to install those next. Go down here to the cogwheel, go to color management, go to open LUT, then go back to the download, and where it says essential LUTs, you're going to right click, copy, navigate back to your LUT folder, just right click and paste. Now I'm not going to do it here because I already have it installed. So once it's done, you'll close the folder, go back to your Davinci Resolve, you'll hit update list, and then you'll get the option to save. A quick note, if you're someone who uses a lot of LUTs, for your color grading, you want to change this setting here to tetrahedral. If you hit the drop down, the default is trilinear, so you want to change it to tetrahedral. That'll give you better results with your LUTs. So once you're done with that, hit save. So now on the edit page, if you go to sound library, first off, if you've never downloaded the library before, you'll have a little menu here that gives you the option to download it. So download the library, and then you want to go to this three-dot menu, go to add library, navigate to wherever your download is, and you'll add the sound effects folder. Just click on it, hit select folder. Now I've already done this before, so that right now is asking me to rescan it, which this is what you need to do anytime you add any new effects to that folder. By default, it comes with 100 sound effects, so if you add anything to that particular folder, just go through this process again, then Davinci Resolve will recognize those sounds. So I'm gonna hit yes for right now. Now I didn't add anything to the folder, so right now it's saying 0 clips out of 0 has been added. If your first time doing it, it will actually say 100 out of 100 clips have been added. I'm gonna hit OK. Then to actually go through those sound effects, go to search, hold shift, and hit the 8 key 3 times to give you 3 stars. I don't know why, but that's how you got to do it. And then it'll bring up the sound effects in alphabetical order. You just double click to play one. Then if there's a sound effect you want, just add it to your timeline, and you can go from there. Then the last thing to install is the rendering presets. So I'm going to go to the delivery page, go to this 3-dot menu, go to import presets, navigate to my download. And here you have 2 rendering presets. One is the 4K presets that I use for client projects, YouTube, so on and so forth. The other is a 4:3 ratio. So this preset gives you the 4:3 ratio, but also gives you 4K resolution. So you select them and hit open. I'm not gonna do it here because I already have them installed. Then when you get rid of render a project, the first setting here, basically have a drop down, have all your different rendering presets. So if I want a 4:3 ratio, I click on 4:3, I give it a name, pick a file location, and add it to my render queue and render it on out. Now again, if I release another update for this pack, the only thing I will ever change will be the DRFX. That's the only thing you'll have to install. Everything else is one and done. So now, what's new in the update? Now I did include a README file that lets you know what's new. So basically I updated the fonts. I had presets called roto effects in here. I replaced them with actually Keyflow. Keyflow, for anyone who don't know, is my animation preset. It allows you to animate anything without any keyframes. Now the full Keyflow editing pack is basically like a Swiss Army knife, has all these different effects and stuff on it. I actually stripped it down to more or less bare bones, and then I added into the essentials pack. There's also an aura effect in the pack that I just basically kind of retooled the controls for. Then down here, if you're someone with a social media following, you can click here to become an affiliate. Well, basically you'll get a special link. You can share that with your followers, and any followers that buy anything from the website, you'll earn a 20% commission. So I'll go over this aura effect real quick. I'm gonna select my clip, hold Alt, I'm gonna move up to make a copy. Then I'm gonna take that into Fusion. Now I just use the magic mask to select my subject and mask him out. So now that I have my subject mask out and go back to the edit page, I'm gonna go to effects. Actually, it's down here. I'm gonna click on the search bar and type in Godsend. As long as you have two bars selected, all the effects will come up at once. So the first one is this aura effect, and I just drag and drop it onto my subject. I'm gonna reactivate this background node, well, background layer, I'm sorry. Go over to inspect and click on effects. You can change the detail of it, crank up the detail and get more, almost something like similar to flames. You can turn up and turn down the scale. Change the speed of the aura itself by turning down or turning up the seed rate. Then you have this gradient controls down here. I only have two gradients on here, but you can add more. So if I add like a black in here and just say throw in a pink or something like that, you can make your own unique gradient colors. Then of course you have glow controls, you have the gain, the glow size, you have light wrap. So if you zoom in on them, the glow itself is actually wrapping around him. You can turn it all the way down with no wrap. But more or less you want to leave it at default, or you can turn it up if you want to have a little bit more of a glow around them. Now the main thing I changed or well added is Keyflow. So go down here, you have Keyflow, which is the default preset. There's no animation or anything with it. Then you have a 360, X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis. You have a zoom, position, and a rotation. I'll get into it in just a second. So I'm actually move back up here to the default. I'm gonna add this to the mask out clip. The controls are broken up in different sections. Yeah, animation in and out. So basically these are like on and off switches. So whatever animation I create, if I wanted to animate in, I leave it on. But if I just wanted to animate out, I can uncheck this and whatever animation I create will just happen at the end of my clip. Next up is the animation frames. By default, it's set to 24. That's mainly because that's the timeline I usually edit in. It's 24 FPS. If you're overseas, more particularly Spain, shout out to you. You might want to change it to 25, which would be roughly exactly 1 second. So I go to my master settings, you see my timeline is 24 FPS. I go to the clip here and hit Control D. I click on frames. I see this has 119 frames. So anything I animate is going to animate within the first second or the first 24 frames of this clip. And if I want it longer, I can make it longer. If I want it shorter, I can make it shorter. This here's the default transform. So basically, if I want to move his position somewhere, increase the size, rotation, whatever, I can do that here. And then you have the flip animation, and then you have motion blur here. So now if I want to create like a roto transition, or I guess a magic mask transition, I already have my clip mask out here, and I have the background here. What I'm going to do is place my playhead at the beginning of the clip. I'm gonna hold shift and hit the right arrow key to move over exactly 1 second. And then I'm gonna split this bottom clip here, which is the background, and get rid of the first second of the background clip. So then it'll just leave me with my mask out subject. I'm gonna click on this and go over to the inspector tab on the effects. So each one of these sections, you have the easing controls. Then you have these drop down menus to create the easing curves. These are known preset animation curves. You just hit the drop down and select one. If you don't like any of those, you can hit the drop down and go to custom and create your own custom curve utilizing this little miniature spline tab. So now to create this little magic mask transition, what I'm gonna do is position angle is just telling it what angle I want the transition to occur. I'm gonna leave that as default right now, so it's 0. For start position, I'm gonna hit -1. It's basically gonna start off the display viewer, and then I'm gonna hit 1 because that's where I wanted to end up at. Now, even though this clip here is 119 seconds, it's only gonna animate within those first 119 frames, I'm sorry. It's only gonna animate within those first 24 frames. So I clamp to that, and then if I hit play, it just creates this little slide in. As you see, the easing is already complied. Make it look better, you wanna add that motion blur. I got it cranked all the way up on all sides. It's gonna have a little slow playback though, because I'm not using render cache. And then the background come in. If I cut this motion blur back off, you'll notice there's like a little delay there. So it comes in and then he's just kind of sitting there. What I'm gonna do is change this curve here. So right now it's animating at the very beginning. So then I'm gonna change this curve to an ease out curve, or ease in curve actually. That way the animation happens more or less towards the end of the 24 frames. Then he more or less kind of slides right into the background coming in. So if I wanted that to happen quicker, I can go up here and type in 12 frames. So within the first 12 frames, it'll animate in, which now it has another 12 frames of you just basically sitting there. So now this other 24 here is for the animation out. So in the last 24 frames of this clip, if I move the playhead, you'll see it animate out. So Keyflow basically creates what you can call an A to B to A animation. So it'll start off at A, it'll animate to B, and then if you have the animation out control selected, it'll animate back to A. So now if I don't want that to happen, all I gotta do is uncheck the animation out, and then it won't occur. Now I can do the same thing if I wanted to create a animation coming up from the position. I can go down here to position angle, type in 90. Now it's gonna have a vertical rise. So I'm gonna go back and change this to 24. So now he animates in from the bottom. But like I said, with this position angle, you can have it animate in from any direction. So right now I'm gonna delete this key flow. Like I said, this is just the default preset. These here are already done for you. So if I drag this on here, it just does the same thing. If I go to the zoom one, it's gonna start off at 100%, which is 1, and then it's gonna zoom into 1.5. Then now he looks like a giant. I'm gonna delete that. Zoom 2. So zoom 2 starts at absolute 0, and then it zooms into 1. When it comes to zoom, you can use the pivot to change the direction. So to zoom up, if I apply it, you see here it comes up from the bottom of the screen. So if I go over to this little drop down and then go to Fusion Overlay, you look down here, you'll see that's the pivot point. So if I go over here, my default transform, you see the y-axis down here at the bottom. So if you double click, it'll set it back to 5. So right now that's the dead center, and he'll just zoom in like normal. Then if I move it to, let's say move it on the x-axis over here, he zooms in from the right. Keyflow ZAP is basically zoom, position, and angle. You can't really see the angle part, but you see he comes in at an angle. As you can see here, I got it set to 360 degrees. It basically flips in. So basically position will slide in, is rotation and zooming at the same time. So the Keyflow presets and the aura effect are pretty much the two newest things. Now I'm just gonna kind of go over overall what's in the pack. Now with this pack, the titles were a big point of focus when creating this pack. And I also separated the titles to a separate pack on its own. So if you don't want the whole editing pack and want to save some money, you just want those titles for your music videos or anything like that, you can download those in a separate pack. You have the RGB split effects. If I drop this on here, create this RGB distortion. I also finally went in and changed the names, or as you can see, it's RGB. So if I move this, it creates this chromatic RGB split effect. You have a slow shutter effect. You can customize it with the controls here, but then also have a slow shutter 2, which is still slow shutter, but it has an RGB chromatic effect applied to it. You can customize that with these little controls here at the bottom, basically controlling the RGB. You have a couple of VHS effects. VHS effects have been popular for the last couple of years, but if you don't have a camera to actually shoot, then to get that retro look, you can use one of these presets. You can also couple these presets with these titles down here. If you go to VHS title, give you a VHS look. Then you can couple that also with this VHS frame. I'm gonna apply frame 3 directly to the clip itself. And now they give you like this 4:3 ratio. You find yourself editing static shots where basically just locked up on a tripod. You have stuff like this zoom, rotation, camera angle here. So Davinci Resolve has a night vision effect. I actually took it to a little step further. Apply this to the clip. It creates this night vision effect where they have these little binoculars. I'm gonna turn this overlay off. You have the binoculars. You go over here, just drop down. You go to a single view, basically like a little scope. Then you have these controls here when you can animate it and move it around. So if you set keyframes from it, you can animate if you want to. You have the clone effect preset. So if I add this to the Magic Commands clip, it creates these clones. Then the clones each have their own separate controls. So if I go down here to end position, I can move it to where I want that clone to end at. So if I place it here, and then I can move this one over here. Whoa, went too far. So now if I play it back, get the clone effect, it'll slide out, and slide back in. This is more or less using the same controls as Keyflow, but it's more or less the, I guess you can say, the original version. So it has little extra controls like the animation delay. So I wanted the animation of one of the clones to be delayed. I can turn this up to just say about 3 or 4 frames. As you can see, it animates back in. But now it's going to be delayed by 10 frames. I'm going to double click here, set it back to 10. So instead of animating right at the beginning, it's going to wait 10 frames, then animate. Now, with all that being said, I didn't cover everything in the pack, like not 100%. Nevertheless, if you have any questions, be sure to drop it in the comment section, or you can hit me up on Discord in my need help section, or hit me up on Instagram, especially if you need help downloading the newest update. If you didn't get the email or missed it or lost it, whatever, make sure to reach out to me and let me know, because all my packs come with lifetime updates. If you like today's video, make sure you smash the like button. It's a great way to support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.